Hello again and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is BGFH and I am back for another VR game spotlight video, and this one really came out of nowhere for me. I kind of dismissed it right away, but then I watched a couple videos of it and I thought, it's cheap enough, let's give it a shot. And I'm really glad I did, not just because it's a fun VR game, but actually due to accessibility. We are looking at a game called Bloody Zombies, available on the Oculus Store right now. Can't remember how much it is, 10-20 bucks, somewhere in there. But Bloody Zombies, it's basically a 2D brawler in the style of, your Final Fight, Double Dragon, that kind of a thing, except you are fighting, of course, zombies. And, it's basically just putting a side-scrolling brawler into virtual reality. Now, I just started checking this out a little bit ago, right before recording this, just going through my library, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta get around to looking at some of these games. And when I went into this game, it being October and everything, it ties in perfectly, for Halloween. But I think I'm gonna actually try to get this video out tomorrow because of the theme, and because I just want to really mention how impressed I am with how this game handles its user interface and menus and all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't know, when I lift up my headset here and I look at the screen doesn't move, so it's almost like they're mirroring like a flat screen version of the game onto your monitor. So I don't know that you're going to be able to see what I am seeing, which is kind of a bummer in this case. But I will narrate and I will tell you exactly what's happening, and I will read stuff for you just to demonstrate. So I'm going to grab my Xbox One controller here, and when I'm looking around now, you guys are just seeing a title screen. You're seeing what's in that white little window with the logo and everything. I'm seeing that is a little tiny part in front of me, but I'm seeing this big old cityscape all around me. When I look around, like I'm looking all around, and when I lift up my headset, you guys aren't seeing any of that, but I'm hoping that changes once we get into the actual game. So remember how I've been talking about how most games do not have accessible user interface, menus, dialogue boxes, all that kind of stuff. And it's very hard for me to configure things, to set things up, to use, dialogue or tutorials, upgrade screens, stats, character stat sheets, all that kind of stuff. I've struggled with that in some of those games that I've covered on the channel. This one, however, if I go in, we get our main menu here. Okay, and you guys are just seeing, yep, a flat screen of the menu. However, what I will say here is, like I said, I am sitting back in my chair and I can lean in as much as I want, and I can get right. I wish you guys could see this. I can lean in and I see play, online, settings, quit. I can get literally right up in front of the text. So if I go to settings, what do we got here? I'm still leaning way in. Display, audio, controls. Let's go into audio. Let's see what that does. You know what, maybe, because I don't know how loud this is going to be, let's say, okay, you know what, yeah, we can do the master volume. Let's drop it down just a little bit because I don't know the recording mixing of that. Well, a little bit louder, because that got a little bit quiet. Okay, so yeah, we got music, SFX, speech, or music. Oh, what did I read? Oh, music. Oh, okay. Oh shoot, did I mute? Hold on. I think I muted it. Haha. Hang on. What the hell? Uh-oh. What the hell did I do? A select B back. I just lost all audio. Huh. Okay. What the... Okay, I don't know why it got muted there. Okay, so if I go back into audio... Okay. Not quite sure how that happened, but sure. So, you know, like I said, I can go to controls... And I'm not looking at the screen at all. I'm not lifting up my headset. This little window, it's actually part of the big city UI thing. Like there's just like a hovering screen. I can hit the back button on my controller to zoom in or to, you know, recenter my view. So if I move back, if I slide back in my office chair, I can, you know, set my distance further away. And then as I lean in, boom, I have it here. And I know this happens in-game a lot of times, but usually, like I said, the user interface, the menus, dialog boxes, all that kind of stuff, none of that crap works. Let me go into play because we're just going to start from the beginning. We're going to do easy just because that's what it defaults to. I could probably bump it up. I already beat a level. I could probably bump it up, but for the video, we're going to just do slot 2. I've already beat one level on slot 1 here. We're going to do slot 2. And then, so this is a 4-player game, and presumably we can play on 4-player online co-op if I wanted to. But we can be Eddie, Mick. I was Eddie when I played the original here. Mick, big old like biker-looking dude. What do we got here? Okay, Ray, and Teller. All right. I think we're gonna be Mick this time. We're gonna be big boy Mick here. And these are the levels that we can choose from right now. We have only got the one unlocked. I suppose I could go back and play.
To London, once the pride of Britain, and now a city entirely overrun.
I'm kind of peeking
with the undead
up from my headset here every once in a while just to see what the screen shows.
Had already erected a vast network of walls, keeping the zombie menace from further defiling Britain.
So for me,
passing since the outbreak consumed the city, many
the comic book
the entire population
panels are just like a hovering screen, and like there's just black all around me, and I'm seeing this on a flat screen.
There I was, thinking I had London to myself.
You and me both.
Oh, okay.
What's going on? I don't know.
You're seeing one
No one
panel
could
at a
have
time.
survived
I'm
that
seeing
crash.
all 4,
This is General
where it actually pans.
We've been monitoring you through CCTV for quite some time. With your help and your unique talents, we can finally take back our city. There are 4 GPS trackers on board. Hopefully they are undamaged. They will lead you to 5 key cards last held by our highest-ranking Kronos scientists. Retrieve the key cards, and you'll be able to access our lab. And together, we'll put an end to this madness.
Worth a shot.
Sounds like a laugh.
I'm in. But the moment one of you starts to turn, I'm taking you out.
Fine. But if you slow me down, I'm leaving you behind.
All right. So there's your intro. Sorry I talked over a bit of it, but I was kind of explaining to you as I was kind of peeking up from under my headset what you guys were seeing compared to what I see.
GPS tracker
Now.
reckons the first key card's this way.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it here. Oh, interesting. Oh, man, you know, so you guys are seeing just like a flat 2D game like you would see, you know, just on your TV. Which I understand why they're doing it, because with the 4-player, you know, you're not going to have 4 Oculus Rifts connected to a computer at once. Your video card would probably melt. But let me pause it here again. So what happens though is you can have 3 people playing with you locally, I think, and then 1 person under the headset. And so of course, you know, you wouldn't want to see just what the headset wearer is seeing. So you guys get the flat screen, and then I get the you know, the view. So basically what I'm seeing is, I would almost call it like a I wouldn't call it like a diorama kind of a thing, but like if I move back, you know, I see like a you know, like the cement wall, you know, kind of like underneath where like the street would be, but then you see the actual level. And if I look all the way over to the right, it's just like this endless, I can see way ahead in the level itself compared to what you can see. You just see a tiny little bit of what's in front of you in the TV, or the menu that I have paused up there. But literally I can see what's kind of coming up as far as like buildings and, you know, what might be happening there. But again, it's so funny because the one time I really want to be able to show you exactly what I'm seeing under my headset, that isn't what is mirrored. But again, you know, like I said, I'm totally under the headset. I cannot see my computer monitor at all. If I back up, I hit back on my controller here, I scooch forward just a little bit here, and boom, I can, you know, read the menu. Pause, okay. Resume, controls, audio. Captions are off, okay. Skill type, hardcore. I don't know what that means. Quit to map or quit to main menu. Let me see here. Skill type. Oh, okay, well, we're going to leave it at hardcore because I don't know what simple means. It probably just does more automated moves. So, now what's interesting is I also love the way I'm moving around. I can see my guy. On your screen, the health bar is up in the upper left-hand corner, more than likely. I can't see, but it probably is. For me, I love this because it's not fixed to the corner of my Rift, where, especially for me, that would be really bad because I have this kind of blind spot in the left side of my peripheral vision in my left eye. So I've had a couple games where they've put UI in a fixed corner like that, and it's been bad. But you know, I can kind of see that I have, you know, full health here. But let's say that if I wanted to, I could stand up. I can look. I'm like literally looking right into it, leaning in, and see the health. There's a 6x. I don't know what that means. There's I don't know what that is, like a weapon thing or something. Oh, right, and then an RB. I couldn't read that if I had to sit back. So, despite that, you know, you guys are only seeing one image, just for me being able to prove to you how quickly and easily I can read this is excellent. So now let's play the game. I know I've been just rambling on and on, gushing about the UI, which under normal circumstances is very, very boring. But to me, this is a big deal because I'm also going to use this kind of as a VR game spotlight. But you know, the more I'm talking here, I also want to talk a little bit about VR. Oculus Connect, which is Oculus's yearly kind of VR tech conference, happened this week. We're on our 4th year, believe it or not, and they actually streamed some of the main keynote on, what was it, Wednesday, and then John Carmack's talk on Thursday, yesterday. And so as we're walking here, you know, again, I can lean back if I want to see more of like the sidewalk here where you got the lamp pole or the little pole post here. I can look right at it. You know, I'm looking at certain parts of the screen. Like, you can't tell that I'm looking around, but I am. And if I want to get way right into the action and see every little bit of animation that my guy is doing, I can. I'm leaning right in. Hey, buddy, how's it going? So it's just, I can look at whatever part of the screen I want. I can back out if I need to see a better, you know,
That'll be mine then.
a more full view of the area. But if I want to look at what this power-up is, I can lean in. Oh, that's a coin. It is a nice little golden coin. Yay, money. Cool. So,
Be having that.
again, if it was a fixed view, I would not be able to do that at all. This is fantastic. But what I was saying was that Oculus Connect happened the last couple of days. And they had some cool announcements. They had the now announced, you know, we knew they were going to be doing something with it, but they announced the Oculus Go, which is this standalone headset. It's kind of in between the Gear VR and the true Oculus Rift, what I have now. So it's going to be more powerful a little bit than the Gear VR, but it's not using a phone. So all of the processor, all the innards and stuff are actually going to be part of the headset, and they're retailing it supposedly early next year for $200,
That'll be mine then.
and that's really cool. But they're also working on, probably won't be out for another, I would guess, couple of years, maybe late next year, but I would probably guess 2019
Having that.
at the earliest. I could be wrong, but that's what I would guess. The Santa Cruz prototype, which is the true, you know, basically that would be the Oculus Rift next generation. They're updating some of the touch controls. They're using touchpads, kind of almost like the Vive, instead of the analog sticks that the current touch controllers have. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I can see sort of where the touch, you know, the touchpads could be nice, but I actually kind of like having the analog stick, like, you know, just playing with the Steam controller. I much prefer the Xbox controller or even the Rift Touch controllers, simply because, yeah, I just like analog sticks, especially for movement or like turning and stuff like that. It just seems more comfortable, more I don't know about precise, but more comfortable. Okay, now this, hey bud, we're gonna see now. If I wanted, I could get in close to that action in the back
That'll
here.
be mine then.
Check this
I'll
out.
be having that.
Yeah. No, I want that. I want a weapon. Yeah. Now we can kill dudes. Check this out. Hey! No! Uh-oh. Slice. Really? That's what you're gonna do? Alright. But yeah, so they're basically, it's gonna be like a wireless Oculus Rift. And in theory, there's a lot I love about that, because there's games right now where my play area is just not big enough. But if I were to do this, if I were to set it up in a little bit different part of on the other side of my L desk, or even if I had like a laptop that was VR capable and I could do it in my bedroom, I have a bunch of open space there too. And so I might actually be better off for some of these little bit larger scale games. Here's the problem. So all that sounds fantastic. Here's the problem with it though, and what I really genuinely worry about. As we get the need, or as there becomes more of these headsets, be it Gear VR, be it Oculus Go, whatever, you know, if you're not paired to a computer, or if you're not mirroring your headset to another monitor, honestly, in a lot of cases, at least for initial setup and getting started in a game or experience, there would be a lot of games or experiences that I would either really have to guess on, or that I wouldn't be able to, I might be able to use the experience, but I may not be able to actually get into to even try, because there's that barrier in the beginning of, I can't see the tutorial, I can't see what it's telling me, or if it's asking me to set something up. Even before you get into the experience, the only reason I'm able to do what I am with the Oculus Rift right now, as far as buying games and, adjusting Oculus settings and config, I'm doing all of that on my computer monitor because, Oculus Home, I've talked about it, I haven't been able to mirror it to you, so you can't see it, but the Oculus Store in the headset is completely useless to me. I can see some of the, little images, but I can't read any of the text. I can't read any of the settings. It's far away. I can't lean in. It's just awful, frankly. And so when I browse the store, when I buy a game, I will obviously do it on my computer because that part of the experience, I can buy the game, I can read about it, look at the reviews, all of that I can do on my flat screen. But on the, let's say, the Oculus Go, I would be boned. I would be totally screwed, because unless you had the ability for something like narrator or text-to-speech, or being able to really recenter your view and being able to use head tracking to lean in toward the interface. Again, as much as I would love to play with a standalone headset, both for just working with it and also to show other people, because it's a lot easier to take a little self-contained headset around with you than it is to actually, have a computer that's capable of doing it. So, here's another thing we can do. I got it. I'll do that in just a moment. Oh, it doesn't show it probably won't show the power up or the tutorial because I already know how to do it. But what happened here was there was a tutorial way in the background at the very back of this street. So on the far sidewalk. Okay, there it is right there. Does it show up on the screen? Okay, yes, it kind of does. You see how it's actually not just an overlay, in front of everything. It's set way back, and if I had to figure this out, I would have probably gotten stuck here because I can't cross this pit because I wouldn't be able to read it. But with this, again, I can stand up, I can lean in. Oh, I'm a little bit too close. Let me back up again. Here, let's do this. Let's back up, recenter, get up and lean in. Oh, I need to hit left, right, Y. And it shows the little animation of it using it. Okay, now I understand. Left, right, Y. And because of that tutorial text in the background, which, like I said, would have been my endpoint under most circumstances, I was able to recenter the view, lean in, and go. So that did not stop me, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Please, 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 developers, emulate this game. Emulate what this game does. Not just if you have the Xbox controller, but especially if you're using a touch controller. Because I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, any game that uses the touch controller, I don't know if I can think of one.
That'll be mine then.
I don't know if I can think of a single touch-supported game that allows you to actually recenter yourself, to reset your center position on the fly. With a lot of the early controller games, you could do that. And I was super thankful for that. But since touch has come out, most, if not all of the time, you can't. And that really has to change. So getting back to, Oculus Connect and talking about the Oculus Go and the Santa Cruz prototype. You know, and then they announced this early next year. They're going to have this whole new interface for like. They're basically taking Oculus Home and then calling it into the Oculus Dash, kind of your dashboard. So I don't know exactly. I haven't looked into too much of the detail what it's going to be like. I don't know how much it is going to be easier to read. But I hope to God that at least the UI will be a little bit more usable. I'm almost positive there's not going to be anything as far as like text-to-speech. That's probably way off. But I'm not saying that it will never happen, because I wouldn't have thought the Xbox One would have that either a couple of years ago, and it does. Alright, son, you need to stay the hell away. Okay. Ow! Yeah. There we go. Perish, you demon. So yeah, and again, that little tutorial text in the back there, that was telling me that I could use my little R trigger, or my left trigger, to do my little roll to dodge out of the way. And thanks to the head tracking, I can read it. I can read it. It's awesome. But yeah, so this is still the first level. That was the first half. This part is cool. So now we're going to be going over this giant bridge, and I'll probably play at least to the end of the first level. I'll show you the real boss, and then there's another part coming up here on the bridge that's pretty nuts. So let's just keep going here. We're going to keep going down this bridge, killing zombies. All right. So yeah, Oculus Connect. The whole dashboard, you know, the updated interface. I don't know if they're going to allow any sort of, you know, font or, you know, customizable text and stuff. It's funny, even John Carmack, when he was doing his keynote, one of the things that he mentioned is that he goes, yeah, you know, developers, you know, I used to kind of give them a hard time about some of their, you know, user interface things, or, you know, text being unreadable. But I think part of the reason that they did that is because they looked at what Oculus themselves were doing with their Oculus Home interface, and they said, oh, well, obviously, you know, they're the ones making this stuff. If, you know, if that's what the Oculus Home interface looks like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. That's probably the best it can get right now. So they, you know, then developers probably didn't have to try as hard, because they're like, well, if their interface looks a little blurry, then ours is probably okay to do that too. So, you know, we'll see early next year. We'll see what happens as far as if accessibility-wise, if they're in VR / home, whatever they call it, if that's going to be any more accessible. But as much as I want to buy,
I'm pissed off.
as much as because I have no problem paying $200 for a standalone headset. I have no issues with that whatsoever. If I knew that I could use it, and if it was up for pre-order, I'd probably pre-order it. But I'm scared and concerned, very, very concerned, that if I were to buy the thing and not having a way to mirror it, I don't know if it's running on Android. Ooh, well, no, because even if it's running under Android, theoretically I could mirror it to my reflector thing. However, in order to mirror it, I have to see enough of the Android interface to tell it to mirror or to do screencast, and I have no frickin' idea how to do that. So, unless I can be guaranteed some sort of way that I'm able to see it, I'm definitely going to have to hold off and not, as badly as I want to buy or pre-order or, you know, get right in on the standalone VR thing. I gotta wait, unless, you know, and again, unless Oculus, I might try to contact Oculus with all these concerns, maybe even share this video with them, because I'm not just talking about this Bloody Zombies game, but I'm really using this to talk about user interface in virtual reality. Because, I mean, come on, it's a 2D brawler. Like, we've had these since, like, 1982, man. What is there to say about a 2D brawler? You know, I mean, they're fun. They can be a little bit repetitive at times, sure. But, you know, I mean, what is there to say about a 2D brawler? You know, I can't really talk about it anyway. So, thankfully, I can show this game, and I actually have something really meaningful to talk about while I'm showing you guys this. But you know, this is again one of the reasons why I got into VR. Not just because I mean, yes, a large part of it is I'm just a huge nerd, and I'm like, I've always dreamed about virtual reality. You know, seeing like all the VR hype in the early '90s, and you know, tech was nowhere near ready. You know, you saw things like Lawnmower Man. You saw the, you know, if you tried the Virtual Boy and your eyes bled. You know, the concept was really awesome, but technology was nowhere near ready. But I've always been fascinated. Like, I think I told you guys the story about in 1995, I was out at the University of Washington doing a program. It was like was it sophomore, junior year of high school? And as part of it was, you know, this kind of academic thing. It was called the Do It program. Go look it up if you want. DO-IT program. Cool program, by the way. But we, as one of our activities,
what's that lever do then?
I went to see this early virtual reality lab on the campus. Okay, this is cool. This looks freaking crazy in VR. These blades coming at you. I mean, this is like, oh Jesus God, move for your ass. Okay, move. Okay, get that. Grab it. No, get. And you gotta kill them because it won't let you go proceed until you kill them. Hey, bucko. Yeah, you die. I'm gonna skip these boxes because I gotta run and break this here real quick. So hold on, sorry, my train of thought here, because I gotta frantically bash the. Get out of there! I want to get those power-ups, but I can't. Come on! Oh, man, I just got wrecked. Come on, pound! Jeebus. Okay, we're gonna... Okay. And boom. Explode.
Make me a breather.
Yeah, something like that. So that was just a cool part. Like I said, you probably don't notice it as much on your flat screen, but like that, the blades, when you look back, if I turn my head to the left, it's just like all these blades just coming at me. It was cool looking. But like I said, in 1995, I went to this virtual reality kind of research lab on campus, and I tried not just a headset, but they actually had a couple of experiences where like you had a remote control in the one hand, and there was one where, you know, they basically put like a tracker on a plate, and they rendered a kitchen. And so when I moved the plate around, I mean, it's, you know, rudimentary, but basically this is what we're doing with touch right now in the Vive. But I was moving that plate around, and like, so if I sat it on the table, based on where I was sitting, it would, you know, I could put the plate down on the table in the VR. You know, it was a really low poly, I think it was like a blue looking kitchen, a blue kitchen. And I put it on the table, and it actually put it on, you know, I put the plate on a physical table in the environment because I had it mapped out right.
That stink ain't me.
And then they had this thing where I was looking at an atom, like the inside of an atom, all the particles. And I was blown away. I mean, there was an underwater thing where I was looking at fish. I had a net, and I was trying to net like sharks or fish or something. And when I saw that kind of thing, and I knew that, okay, you know, like, you know, again, I talk about Lawnmower Man, I talk about the Virtual Boy, you know, whatever. But when I saw that, I knew that one day, you know, within my future, that VR was going to be a thing. I knew that it was going to be possible. I just wasn't sure when. I didn't know if it was going to be 10 years, 20 years from now. And yeah, it was about 20 years. Wow. God, I'm old. But yeah, I mean, we have VR, and it's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I'm into it for that reason. I mean, this is why I jumped on the Oculus bandwagon right away. But also, you know, doing this come on, buddy. Doing this YouTube channel thing, I saw a really good opportunity for me to basically get in on the ground floor of a new technology like virtual reality. And especially with the right around, like the timing was perfect because we were starting to get a lot of announcements about accessibility things happening in general for gaming. You had the Sony Vita and PS4, then you had Microsoft starting to kill it with Narrator and their accessibility. You had all these set-top boxes and smart TVs starting to put in accessibility. So I'm like, okay, you know that odds are probably pretty high that these new headsets, no one is going to be looking out for people with, you know, physical motor disabilities, vision impairments, disabilities in general. So like, you know, the probability was high, likely because most people just don't even think about it unless they have to. So I wanted to get in on that and maybe use, as my channel is actually starting to grow as well, I wanted to try to use some of that. Come on, get out of here. Ow. I wanted to use that kind of a thing to hopefully talk to developers, other VR enthusiasts, gamers, you know, educate, you know, because like I said, VR isn't just for games. There's some awesome stuff for education or entertainment. I haven't released these videos yet, but there's a couple that I've recorded, but will release to you guys eventually here. On the International Space Station, there's one I just did for Google Earth in VR, which is freaking amazing. At Oculus Connect this week, they also talked about venues early next year, so the kind of that early idea of, hey, get the great seat, get the best seat in the house for a concert. That kind of a deal. So I don't know. I just think it's going to be really interesting. So that's, you know, again, why I really wanted to get into virtual reality. I was hoping that I could make some sort of a mark, make some sort of a difference in the accessibility.
What on earth shut you out?
Yeah. Biggin. Now here's the big boss, man. Alright, so we're going to dive in real quick. We're going to beat the crap out of them, and we're going to get hit. And we're going to go over here. We're going to, oh god, we're going to get hit again. We're going to get wrecked. I don't know if I have unlimited. Oh, you know what that 6 was? That's how many continues I bet I have. That's what that, you know, I remember I said 6x before? That's what that means, I bet. Ouch, I am just getting murdered. Hold on, I gotta pause my story here. I gotta concentrate on Big Bertha here. Get out of my way. Oh, get out of my way. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna kill your minion first. Ah! Hey, zombie, perish. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's bad.
I think I need me a breather.
Come on. Oh. That's all. Oh, okay.
I'm pissed off.
Yeah, so am I, buddy. I'm pissed off too. Let's see if we can. Okay. Oh.
Stay dead.
Yeah, stay dead.
I'm
Exactly,
gonna
son.
save your London even if it kills me.
Yeah.
I'll be having that.
And that.
That'll be mine then.
Yes. So we got the boss killed here, and we're gonna grab all my
Something new every
stuff. And, oh, got a thing back here we need to grab. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with this. Now, it does seem to be doing some small bit of good. I've had a few people follow me on Twitter in the VR community. There's been a Low Vision developer of VR. Unfortunately, his title isn't officially supported on the Rift just yet. Otherwise, I would have definitely covered that by now. But when it does, rest assured, I will definitely be looking at it. Because it sounds cool, too. It's like a mech, I think it's like a mech, like, combat game. Heck yeah, that'd be fun. But I've gotten a few people to follow me, both for general game and tech accessibility and for virtual reality. And follow me on Twitter, by the way, at BGFH79. I'm working on building the presentation right now, but in mid-November, I want to say it'll be like on November 15th, my time, because it's like this, the event itself is all listed in GMT, so it's, what is it, like 8 hours difference my time or something like that, or 6, I don't remember, but there's this ID24 event, and before I talk about that here's my stats screen again. You guys are probably seeing, let me lift up my headset. Yep, you're just seeing a flat screen again. But again, I'm just seeing a black void all around me with a screen here. However, again, I can lean in. That is small print, but guess what? Kills 105. Best streak 53. Boss damage 330. Lives 4. Revives 0. Okay, that's if I had multiplayer probably. Deaths 2. Yeah, that makes sense. And I got a B rating. What do we got? Okay, B. Oh, we got some kind of a C. B, C, and oh. Okay. Fair enough. Oh, okay, I think that's showing me like okay, yeah, so basically I'm a little bit high, like I'm kind of about a third of the way, third of the way between A and B, more toward the B side vertically. So again, I'm able to read all of this stuff, and on the right hand side you'd have stuff for the second player. You know, you could A to continue, like somebody else could jump in with me if they were local, and they could play on the TV or on the computer monitor. Sorry, my watch. No, I'm going to decline your call. It's probably one of my friends, but we're doing a really interesting video right now. So let's hit A, and we're going to start our next level here. We're going to wrap up here very shortly. However, there's, like I said, a couple things I want to talk about yet. In November,
Looks like a shortcut to the next key card.
in November, I am doing a talk. I did a proposal. A couple people actually on Twitter had recommended me. They're like, hey, you should do a presentation. Actually, originally they had asked me if I would do a presentation on the GA conference earlier this year, and I would have loved to. I would have done it, but I know I haven't talked a whole lot about it, but in early this year, I was going through some stuff. February was spectacular, to say the best. So I didn't know that I didn't think I would be going to CSUN, let alone GA Conf, so the GA conference. But I wasn't able to do a presentation there, but then somebody else had said, hey, you know, proposals are open for this ID24, and what it is basically it's a 24-hour session. They've done I'm trying to remember, is this their fourth one too? But they've done a few of these now, and they're a 24-hour live web conference sort of a thing, kind of a webinar, web conference spiel, where people, like once an hour, people will support or people will do sessions on any kind of aspect of accessibility. You know, yeah, it could be about gaming, but you know, most of them are probably about like Could be anything from like web design to games to inclusive design, just any kind of accessibility topic that you could really, think of. I've looked at some of the sessions, I've watched some of the sessions from the prior years. They actually did an ID24 earlier this year, but they're like, hey, you know what? This one actually took off. This ID24 really took off, and they're like, oh, we had so much fun doing it. We're going to do it again. We're going to do a fall one, and so they put a call out for papers, and the deadline was, mid-September, and so I submitted a proposal for about virtual. Ouch, that was unexpected. So this is as far as I've ever played, so I have no idea what's coming up. I have no idea what kind of enemies I'm going to face here. But I submitted the proposal and I got accepted, and the talk is going to be about virtual reality accessibility from a low vision point of view perspective. I believe the talk itself is called an illegally cited what did I even call it now? An illegally cited look at VR accessibility. So I figured, I'll make it a little bit quirky, kind of draw people's attention. Again, that whole illegally cited thing kind of gets people's attention. And it's my brand, I've actually kind of got a little brand going here. So hey, I'll use it. Dude, I'm not going to answer your call right now. Hold on. Damn it. No, I will call you back. I had my phone on mute, or on Do Not Disturb. However, I forgot to mute my watch, because I'm not used to having to do that. I just got the thing a couple weeks ago, so forgive me for that interruption. I am just not used to having to do that. But yeah, so I'm kind of using my illegally cited. I've done a lot of videos so far. I have a whole VR accessibility playlist. I've done VR game spotlights. I've done VR experience spotlights. Ow, quit throwing stuff at me. So if I can get this out to just a wider, not just gaming audience, but this is like an official accessibility event. If I can get that stuff out there to more people, maybe it'll show up to game companies, VR developers. God forbid, I would love to be able to pick somebody's brain at Oculus themselves, because it's not just on each experience. Like, it's great that one experience like this game, like Bloody Zombies, has accessibility. However, what scares me more is the general virtual reality interface, be it Steam VR, Oculus Home, Oculus Dash, PlayStation VR. When I'm under the headset, especially as things go more self-contained and or wireless in general, the need is just going to grow increasingly more important for me to have, or not just me, but for there to be different levels of accessibility, not just for blind and low vision, but for people, again, with hearing impairments, mobility impairments. But I'm focusing on vision impairments, obviously, because that's what I know best, and that's what I can have direct experience with. So, God dang it, hold on. One more. I will call you back, I swear. Just a moment. And I apologize for the interruption. But that is really cool that I can just I don't even touch my phone. I'm not even lifting up my headset. I just touch my watch and I can hang up or answer the call. That's freaking cool. But we are going to wrap it up here. I'm not going to play through this whole level. I just really wanted to really give a shout out to the developers of Bloody Zombies. I'm going to mention them on Twitter at least once or twice. I'm going to modify, since I've mostly got my outline done for my presentation, but I am going to absolutely add these guys into my presentation for a great example of how to do head tracking from the start of an experience to the end of the experience, like I've so often talked about, I'm going to, you know, like I said, kudos to those guys, kudos to the developers of this game, because, you know, the game itself is fun to play. I'm having fun. Just, it's a great game I can kind of mindlessly play and talk with you guys about stuff. But just being able to really tie in all this stuff kind of coming together, Oculus Connect and VR accessibility, my upcoming talk at ID24. Again, follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. I will post more details because I don't know exactly everything myself how it's going to work yet. But, you know, we'll get you some days and times and a link and all that jazz for my ID24 talk. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys follow me there. Again, follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Subscribe to the channel. Please, if you have anyone who's really into virtual reality, you know, not even accessibility, but just virtual reality in general, development, you know, somebody at Oculus, you know, leave a comment below, reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. I would love to help either like beta test or, you know, do any number of things to try to help get accessibility going, because again, with the Oculus Go, I would love to grab it. I have no problem paying the $200, but I'm a little bit hesitant to do so just because of how I don't have the flat screen as a backup for me to navigate around. So sorry there's been a lot of babbling at the beginning of the video here. It's kind of been all over the place, but I think everything actually ties together pretty well with the way that this game has really impressed me with its accessibility and just the whole VR topic stuff I really wanted to talk about in general. Let you guys know about my upcoming talk. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. And until next time, I will talk with you guys again later.